Well, good morning. How are you? We have some very distinguished faculty with us today. We'll start down at the far end there. Andy Pollack, who is the chair of orthopedics at the University, at the Baltimore campus, the University of Maryland. We have Betsy Quinlan, who is professor and co-director of the Cole Center for Sports Medicine, Health, and Human Performance at the University of Maryland. And next to me is Dr. Alan Faden, professor and director of the Shock, Trauma, and Anesthesiology Research Center at the University of Maryland, Baltimore. There's one other person I just want to recognize who hasn't been mentioned yet, and that is our outstanding, off-the-charts good Dean of our School of Medicine, Al Reese, who's right back there. Al, thank you for being here and for being a partner in this important project. So Andy, let me start with you. So how do you see the research activities going on in this place benefiting not just athletes, but the broader community as well?
Trip Talk is brought to you by Viner Consulting.
The initial research focus for this facility is going to be on mild traumatic brain injury, which represents, as many people in this room know, a tremendous threat to our athletes at all levels. Not just about college athletes. This is about kids participating at the high school level. It's about weekend warriors, about anybody who's had a concussion. The things that we learn about concussions and about how to manage concussions will benefit all those people. And we're going to have to figure out how to either prevent concussions or manage concussions if football's going to have a future in this country. This is critical to that future. This facility will leverage the experience and expertise that we have in neuroscience research to focus on concussion initially, but there are hundreds of other challenges that kids face and adults face in dealing with athletics. There's knee injuries, hip injuries, shoulder injuries, and the ability to closely link the research facility with the clinical care of the athletes. That's what this facility brings that we haven't seen before, and that other schools around the Big Ten and around the country haven't seen.
Meyer Consulting Engineers. In the past 5 years, our organization has completed over 1,300 projects in the U.S. and abroad, including many structures at the University of Maryland. For structural engineering and materials testing and inspection, call Meyer Consulting Engineers.
And this is what will set us apart.
And I would assume that what you learn from treating those athletes for head injury or other kinds of, the rest of us have injuries too. So you be able to take that research and the innovations coming out of that to benefit patients that you treat elsewhere, won't you?
For many of us, we've really expanded that definition of athlete to include.
I certainly have. Yeah.
To include anybody who's physically active, and obviously we know that remaining physically active for as long as you can throughout the lifespan contributes not only to the length of your life, but to the quality of that life.
Yeah. So Betsy, could you tell us a bit about the actual research that will be going on here, and what kind of breakthroughs might we see in the future?
Sure. So our goal is to transform the way that traumatic brain injury is approached and studied and treated. That's a bold statement, but I can say that with confidence because of the strength and the diversity of expertise that we're bringing to bear on the problem. We have the clinical strength from the Baltimore campus and the preclinical strength from the Baltimore campus as well, combined with the traditional strengths of the College Park campus, our strengths in computer science, the engineering disciplines, physics, biological sciences. We're going to bring this diverse expertise to bear on the treatment of traumatic brain injury. So I'll give you some examples of the type of research that this very diverse and very multidisciplinary collaboration is going to be able to achieve. So we're just beginning to appreciate the fact that the impact of brain trauma is felt not just at the point of impact, but it's felt throughout the brain. In fact, it's felt throughout the entire body. You can see changes in the level of protein expression, in DNA expression, and even in the microbiome that's expressed throughout the body. And so studying protein protein expression, DNA expression, microbiome expression is a very large.
Betsy, I'm assuming that there'll be opportunities for students to be involved in the research that goes on in the building. So the whole student body will be able to also take advantage.
Oh, absolutely. And so we train students in our labs, students and postdocs and interns, and they are the people that are often doing the majority of the hands-on work. So there will be multiple opportunities for students to take advantage of the resources at Cole, the physical resources and the intellectual resources, and also to participate in this work.
Alan, a lot of us think of ourselves as athletes. And I wonder, how will the research conducted here at Cole impact, in terms of human performance, the everyday person? In particular, will you be able to help me improve my forehand stroke?
Kurt, I'm not sure about the latter, but the former we can say will happen. So, not a week goes by where we don't read in the newspapers or see on TV the impact of concussions on players in high-impact sports. But this is a much, much bigger problem. There are almost 4 million head injuries a year in the United States. 3/4 to 80% of those are mild traumatic head injuries or concussions. And they affect not only the athlete, where it's been best studied, but particularly the ends of life. So the early years, where it's particularly devastating, and the fastest growing population of head injured individuals is in the elderly. 1 out of every 3 people over the age of 65 will have a significant fall in the next year. If you've had one fall, the probability goes up to 1 in 2 in the next year. And many of those individuals have orthopedic injuries or brain injuries. The goal of the new program will be to improve approaches to prevention, to diagnostics, and there is a revolution underway to being able to diagnose injury and level of injury in a blood sample with a very small amount of blood. We'll be looking very carefully, as Betsy has said, the pathobiology of injury, how injury causes long-term consequences, including cognitive change, psychiatric changes, particularly anxiety and depression, and other disorders. And finally, we'll be approaching entirely novel aspects of treatment. There's a revolution there as well. Betsy mentioned something about the brain affecting the gut. We may be able to treat brain injury. We've begun to do this actually in the laboratory by focusing on changing the gut after head injury. That's fairly remarkable. We now understand that there are mechanisms by which the brain causes inflammation and enhances inflammation. What's really important, unlike what you read in the papers about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a really big problem for our athletes, but a relatively small percentage problem, a large percentage of athletes and elderly and others with head injury have chronic inflammation. And what's important, it's a treatable disease, and it may be treatable weeks or months after injury. Therefore, the work we and others hope to do is not only relevant to the student athlete, to the community here and the greater state of Baltimore, but to the nation and world as a whole.
Well, as a member of the over 65 group, I'm really pleased to know that you'll be focusing research on this area. One final question, and any one of you can answer it. You all interact with colleagues around the country that do sports medicine. Is there anything like this that you're aware of? I mean, what will this do to the research at the University of Maryland on sports medicine, this facility?
Well,
Andy?
there are similar facilities around the country, but not on this scale, and I don't think done as well. We took the time to investigate what was happening in the rest of the country, learn from what they've done, and expand on it. And I think it'll obviously improve our capacity for research and to leverage the relationship between the research community and the athletic community and the clinical community on the campus. but this is going to dramatically improve our ability to recruit the best clinician scientists from around the country to come be part of this.
Well, that's just fabulous. Well, listen, I want to thank the three of you. I know I speak for everyone that we look forward to the great innovations and advances that will come out of the research that you and your colleagues do. So, ladies and gentlemen, please thank these fabulous faculty for all that they're doing.
Taking the stage for the groundbreaking moment is Senate President Miller, Chancellor Corrett, President Lowe, President Herman, University of Maryland College Park Provost Mary Ann Rankin, University of Maryland Baltimore Provost Bruce Gerald, and Director of Athletics Anderson.
You probably started small and then grew and grew and grew some more. It's all so complicated now. And now you and your team need all of this technology to work together for you to be successful. Viner and Forgates helps you make sense of it all by taking your chaos and turning it into clarity. Our experts untangle the complexity of your system and help you plan a brighter future. For your now, your future, and your always, choose Viner Forgates.
Ladies and gentlemen, for attending today's dedication